Welcome to Impossible Bodies.
Welcome, everyone, to Impossible Bodies. Envisioned as a hybrid exhibition, a festival and a fun place to be and experience our coming out as cyborgs. We have shared with our artists and team an incredible, tumultuous year with quite some obstacles along the way. The most invasive occurrence, of course, was COVID-19 entering our lives and hacking our habitats. For me and my team, experiencing the first lockdown early March, as for every living human being on this planet, was quite overwhelming. But we took this new physical world, appearing to be even more fluid and unpredictable than the digital one, as an opportunity too. Impossible Bodies researches the fusion between humans and machines and tunes into chances as well as obstacles, both its freedom and constraints. Becoming digital and, of course, having multiple digital twins belongs to this new field of exploration as well. Conceptually, we couldn't have be having a better theme of interest to explore a more hybrid event. So we anticipated this situation and to find ourselves right now from day one, from day two of the first COVID-19 wave and the measurements taken to control these infections. Thanks to a wonderful and energetic team with different capabilities, I could guide the transition without too many difficulties. Next in time was inspiring and convincing our artists to join us in this digital adventure. Result are several new works and 12 augmented reality works that are part of our expo experience online and with the GPS linked to the historic locations in the city center of 's-Hertogenbosch. Impossible Bodies speculates on what kind of future lies ahead of us. It does so in a manner that suits the Niet Normaal Foundation, curious and open-minded. We surely are not interested only in the velvet, silicon look and feel of the many cyborgs we encounter today. We selected artists who question the narrow bandwidth within which all humans, cyborgs and robots should become interchangeable lookalikes. For this reason, we took quite an effort in explaining the difference between transhumanism and posthumanism, two terms associated with cyborgs. They are often used interchangeably, but there is a substantial difference in approach. Where transhumanism refers to improving and beautifying ourselves, becoming ever more perfect with the help of technology, posthumanism goes a step further. Technology has become our second nature and shapes us as we interact with it. We become into a different kind of human while we merge with technology. Posthumanism explicitly connects being human with the environment in which we grow up, in which we live and work. And posthumanism also sees an opportunity in the growing realization that humans are not the only intelligent beings on this planet. It teaches us to be humble and examine our human-centric behavior. Technology could also be used to learn from and interact better with other creatures in our living environment. Such a starting point makes life an empathic and spiritual quest in which not the individual but the collective is embraced as a new source of living and dying together. Hence the question of impossible bodies. What kind of cyborgs do we want to be? And do we want to become? This theme not only informs the expo experience, but also the deep dive program with performances and talks by the artists, and of course the Future Shock program, the music program curated by Arthur Janssen. Before I go introduce to you our keynote speakers of today, I would like to thank the funds enabling Impossible Bodies to happen. De gemeente Den Bosch, Brabant Zee, Bank Giro Loterijfonds, Fonds 21, Prins Bernhard Cultuurfonds, het Mondriaan Fonds, Stimuleringsfonds voor Creatieve Industrie en het VSB-fonds. Also our partners, Spark, Den Bosch Data Week, Dutch Design Week, Verkaderfabriek, Willem II, Werkwarenhuis, Huis 73, AKV Sint Joost, Design Museum en Strijpfestival. And last but not least, my super hard-working, art-loving and stress-resistant team and the many co-producers and suppliers and tech supporters. Too many to mention here, so I need to limit myself to the core team, which is Coralie, Jenny, Monique, Morgan, Luc, Victor, Elijah, and Alidja. Oh, that's so difficult, even for me. Special thanks also to Cassandra Vugts, who has helped me find my way into In'Thertogenbosch and its innovation district, to which also the upcoming festivals, those will be empowered by the Future of Work Foundation, are related.
Goedenavond allemaal. Welkom bij deze bijzondere opening vanuit mijn kant. Een opening of openingen waar ik inmiddels al iets meer aan begin te wennen. Maar eigenlijk went het ook nooit, want ik ben toch graag, zeker op dit soort momenten, op deze bijzondere momenten, toch fysiek bij elkaar. De eerste in een bijzondere reeks van festivals van Future of Work, in dit geval Impossible Bodies. Jullie zijn nieuw lid geworden van de Bosse Culturele Basis. Daar wil ik jullie van harte mee feliciteren. Nog even onder voorbehoud van goedkeuring door de gemeenteraad, maar ik heb goede hoop dat ook dat goed gaat komen en dat wij nog veel van jullie gaan horen de komende jaren. Ik heb in ieder geval hoge verwachtingen en ik ben dan ook bijzonder benieuwd wat wij tijdens jullie eerste festival allemaal gaan meemaken. Want jullie geven een bijzondere invulling aan 's-Hertogenbosch, cultuurstad van het zuiden. En daarmee ook in dit geval een mooie mix ook nog met toonaangevende datastad. Jullie werken bovendien op een bijzondere manier samen met veel van onze culturele partners. Toch wel bijzonder als relatieve nieuwkomer hier in de stad. Met bijvoorbeeld Huis 73, Verkaderfabriek, Willem II, Werkwarenhuis, Kunstacademie. En ik denk dat we zo nog even door kunnen gaan. Dat verdient echt een bijzonder compliment. Als geen ander zijn jullie voorbereid op corona. En ik denk dat jullie daarmee wel een voorloper te noemen zijn, waar veel andere culturele instellingen binnen en buiten de stad nog van kunnen leren. Jullie zagen, ik denk dat we met z'n allen wel vreesden voor de tweede golf. En jullie hebben daar slim op geanticipeerd. En ik denk dat jullie daarmee een voorbeeld zijn voor het niet fysiek beleven van festivals of kunst zoals we dat kennen. Nou, niet in fysieke zin, daarbij moet ik misschien beter zeggen genieten vanuit huis. Want deze expositie, Impossible Bodies, geeft invulling door een versmelting van mens en techniek. En roept daarmee bijvoorbeeld de vraag op of de beperkingen van nu nog wel de beperkingen van de toekomst zijn. En dat is dus precies wat kunst en cultuur behoort te doen: vragen oproepen en inspireren. En ik denk dat jullie daar bijzonder in geslaagd zijn. En zoals ik in het begin al zei, ik hoop nog heel veel van jullie te horen. Ik wens jullie heel veel succes bij jullie allereerste festival hier in de stad. En wens jullie vooral heel veel plezier en inspiratie. En hopelijk binnenkort ook in fysieke zin. Tot ziens.
You just saw a mesmerizing clip of a breakdance performance by Ait Chitt as a hologram, which you can endlessly repeat in your own living room with the AR version of it, the augmented reality version. Before you saw Rado, we heard a talk of Mike van der Geld, and he is the Councilor of Sustainability, Living Environment and Culture of the City of Den Bosch. And we thank Mike van der Geld for his welcome and warm wish of success. Now, the next keynotes that I would like to announce for you are from Neil Harbisson and Ribas. My introduction of both these artists, cyborg artists, will be short, as they can do a much better job than I can do themselves. Let me just stress that I'm very, very much impressed and inspired by the trans-species right activism that underlies their choices to be and to become cyborgs as both artists and human beings. Welcome, Neil and Moon.
Hello. Hi, can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Hello.
Yes, so maybe our
Share the screen.
the share is this one. Let's see if this. Let's see to start your video. Sorry. Just a second.
We'll try to share.
Start my video there. No, but this.
Share the screen.
Share screen. We'll share screen.
Has dan al Zoom? Has dan al Zoom estás aquí, no?
Wait, sorry. Wait. Share screen. Okay. Now this
Okay,
one.
perfect.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And now like this and
Yeah. Is it working now? Can you hear us?
Yes.
can you see our slide?
Yes.
Perfect.
Cool.
Cool. So I'm Moon Ribas.
And I'm Neil Harbisson, and well, we'll talk about being a cyborg and cyborg art. We are both friends since we were children, and since we were children, we were always interested.
Sorry. No.
We were always interested in other species, in how we are surrounded by animals that have senses and organs that we don't have. So as children, we were really interested in watching documentaries about nature more than science fiction. And we were fascinated about the amount of senses and organs that other animals had. So when we both went to start art, we were interested in applying all this world of new senses and new organs into art. And that's why we just...
we call this cyborg art, like the creation of designing your own senses and your own perception of reality. So it's the art of creating the sense that you would like to perceive of the things that you don't perceive. So yeah, I'm gonna talk about my journey and how I unite myself with technology. I'm actually a choreographer and a dancer, so I dedicate my aim was to perceive movement in the deepest way I could, and I wanted to find movement beyond. Well, no, let's start with this. So the first experiment that I did when I united with technology was this type of glove that allowed me to detect the speed of the people that walk in front of me. So I would point this glove on the people, and then this glove would tell me if someone was walking 3 per hour or 5 per hour, so I could know the speed of the people. But this had some problems because I had to point at people that was kind of weird and rude. So, and also it tell me with the numbers the speed, and I didn't want to know the speed. I wanted to be more integrated and to feel the speed in my body. So in order to do that, I transformed this glove into a pair of earrings. And I had these earrings that if someone was walking, for example, from right to left, I would feel a vibration on my right ear and then on my left ear. And depending on the vibration of interval of each vibration, I would know the speed of the people walking in front of me. And during this experiment, I realized how so we have like a common movement sense. So there's a difference depending on where you are. You would walk faster or slower. So you would probably walk faster if you are in London than if you are in Rome, because of the people around you. And we all have like a common movement sense. After experiencing this, I decided to turn around my earrings, and this actually allowed me to feel what I had behind my body. So I had like retroception. All our senses are focused in front of our body, but in the back of our bodies, we are a bit dead sensory speaking. So I added this extra sense to feel what I had behind. And this is actually something that we give to cars. The modern cars know if they're getting closer to other people, but actually most of humans don't feel what they have behind. And after experiencing this movement that I had around, I wanted to perceive a more universal movement, a movement that didn't become from humans. And I thought, if I would be alone in the planet, how could I perceive movement? Is there more things that move? And then I realized that actually Earth is constantly moving, not only rotates by itself, but it shakes constantly through earthquakes. So I thought it would be fascinating to be united to this huge and natural movement that is an earthquake itself. So this is when I designed what I call the seismic sense. So I had some implants inside my feet that were connected to online seismographs. And every time there was an earthquake somewhere in the planet, I would feel a vibration inside my body. And depending on the intensity of the earthquake, the vibration that I would feel would be stronger or less strong. And I call this the seismic sense, the sense of feeling the seismic activity of the planet inside my body in real time. And of course, I had to get used to all these vibrations constantly. I think it's very different to know that the Earth is moving and actually to feel that the Earth is moving. It moves a lot, and it changed my perception of the planet. No, I could feel how alive our planet is and how constantly moves. At the beginning, I had to get used to these constant vibrations. So if someone was talking to me and I would feel a vibration, I would like stop talking or would get distracted very often. When I was sleeping, I would wake up more very often. But at the end, I got used to having these vibrations. So I got used to sleeping more often. And then after a while that it became as part of me, so I described it that I had like an extra beat inside my body. So I had like two beats, my heartbeat and then the earth beat. The earth beat translated to the seismic sense, having its own rhythm inside my own body.
So this was Moon's sense, and I was interested in creating a sense of color because I was born colorblind. So as a child, I was always interested in sensing color, but I wasn't so interested in seeing color. I was more interested in creating my own sense of color. So color is a vibration. And I was interested in the theory that Isaac Newton created in the 1600s, relating each color of the rainbow to a musical note. There is a relationship between color and sound, and they are both vibrations, they are both frequencies. So now we have the technology to detect that if we could hear the vibration of red, we would hear a note between F and F sharp. So in 2004, Adam Montandon from England and myself started this project in order to create a system that would allow me to hear the vibrations of color. So when the system was created, then I thought about creating a new body part that would allow me to feel the vibrations of color. And I thought that the best organ would be an antenna. There's a fish that has an antenna, and it's also used for sensing things. So I was interested in having an antenna that would allow me to sense the vibrations of color. And then when the antenna was finalized, I had it placed in my head. So the antenna allows me to feel the vibrations of color, and then I hear different notes for different colors. Now you're hearing the vibrations of red going to orange and so on. So each color has its own vibration, and I learned the sound of each color. But I didn't just want to sense the colors that humans can sense. I wanted to go beyond that. There's many more colors that other animals and other species can sense, like infrareds and ultraviolets. So I included infrareds and ultraviolets in the system. So sensing infrared now allows me to know if there's movement detectors in a room or in a space. So I can tell if the alarms are on or off in a shop or in a bank. And in many cases, they are off. So it's interesting to know that some of these sensors are not working. It also allows me to know if there's a high level of ultraviolet. Ultraviolet is a color that can damage our skin. So sensing ultraviolet keeps me alert, and I avoid the sun if I sense ultraviolet. There are also two senses that bring me closer to other animals, because there's many animals that sense ultraviolet and infrared. So now I share a sense with other animals. So for having it implanted in my head, it was challenging, but in the end, I found a doctor willing to do the surgery. We call it a trans-species surgery because it's the addition of an organ that is not traditionally human. An antenna is not like an arm or a leg, so it's a non-human body part. And also it's trans-species because it's the addition of a sense that is not traditionally human, like sensing infrareds and ultraviolets is not traditionally human. So it's we classify it as a trans-species surgery. The surgery took 4 hours, and then there's 4 different implants. One is the chip that vibrates in my head. 2 other implants are to hold the structure of the new organ. And the 4th implant is internet connection. So I can also receive colors from different people that have connection to my head. So now there's 5 people that have the right to send colors to my head, 1 in each continent. So I'm now here in Barcelona, but if someone from New York, my friend from New York, wants to send colors to my head, he can do it right now. And then suddenly I can sense the colors from a supermarket in New York. So I see this as the use of the internet as a sense, which is something that I think we'll start seeing more during this decade. We've been using the internet as a tool or a communication system, but I think we'll start seeing the internet used as a sense very soon. The internet also allows me to connect my antenna to NASA's International Space Station. And when I do this, my sense of color is no longer in Earth, but in space. So we can actually use the internet to explore space and have senses in space. Instead of having to physically travel to space, we can become sensastronauts, which is basically we can remain in Earth, but have our bodies connected to senses that are in space or sensors that are in space and use them as an extension of our senses. So our bodies can remain here, but our senses can be in space. So I think this is a much more ecological way of exploring space. Instead of physically traveling to space, we could all have senses in space and explore space permanently 24 hours a day without having to travel there. My brain has changed in many ways, but the biggest is that I no longer feel the difference between the software and my brain. And that's when this happened, when I started to define myself as a cyborg. Cyborg is a word that has been used a lot, but we try to find what it means.
We both feel cyborg, which is like cybernetic organism, and we feel cyborg because we have cybernetic parts as part of ourselves. And actually, yeah, it has been used in many ways, but we went to the origins of this word. And actually, Manfred Klein's and Nathan Klein was the people who that coined this word. And actually, we went to meet him in San Francisco some years ago and asked him about the word cyborg. And actually, they defined this word because they said NASA asked them to write an article. And they said if it's in the human nature to explore, to keep exploring and leave the Earth and explore the space, instead of living inside the spaceships, we should modify ourselves in order to survive in other environments, in order to survive in space. So we like this definition, and we think that maybe we should modify ourselves in order to understand better the planet we live in. And also they coined this word because they had the need that another word was needed because bionic existed and mechanic existed, so it had this need of another word existing.
Yeah, there was the need for a word that included the modification of the mind, not only the body, but the modification of the mind by merging with technology. Because a bionic human or a bionic woman or a bionic man would only center on the body, whereas cyborg also includes the modification of the mind. And in both our cases, our aim is also to modify our senses, which is in our mind. So with the word cyborg is something that I had some trouble in 2004 with the UK government, because I had to renew my passport, and they said there was a problem with my photo. They said that you cannot appear in your passport photo with electronic devices. I replied to them telling them that I had become a cyborg, and that I felt that the antenna was not an electronic device, but a new body part, and that they should consider the antenna as part of my body. And they replied saying no. So it became a battle with the UK Passport Office that lasted several months, until in the end, they accepted my explanation, and they accepted the antenna as being part of my body, and they allowed me to appear in the passport in 2004 with the antenna. So this was an official confirmation that the antenna had been accepted as an extension of my body, and helps me now when I travel, because in airports there's always problems. I'm now in conversations with the Swedish government, because the materials that I used to create the antenna and that are inside my head, some of them are Swedish. So I'm telling them that I am Swedish, because part of my body is Swedish. So I think I should also be entitled to become a Swedish citizen, because I am biologically now also Swedish, but they still haven't replied. But hopefully there will be a reply from this.
Yeah, in 2010, Neil and I co-founded the CYBORG Foundation, basically with 3 aims. One was to help humans to become cyborgs, to design new sensors and new body parts. One was to promote cyborg art as an artistic movement. And the other one was to defend the cyborg rights, the freedom of being able to design your own sensors and your own body parts, and designing also to be a cyborg as an identity.
There's basically 5 rights, which are these ones, but it can be extended. We drafted them in the United States with
Richard
McKinnon, but they are open to be more. There'll be more. It will be extended soon.
Yeah, some other projects some other projects about cyborg art and other people that have created new sensors. It's, for example, the artist Manel de Aguas, that he created the sense of weather. He has these kind of things in top of his ears, and he can perceive the weather, so the atmospheric pressure, the humidity, so he knows if he's gonna rain or not. So he actually is the weatherman. This is also the sense of north. This was actually not
implanted in the back of Moon's knee, my knee, and Manel's knee. So it's a small compass to allow us to feel the magnetic north of the planet.
Echolocation. This is from Joe Degny. It's an upgrade version of what I did. He can perceive what he has behind, but also he can perceive the temperature. So he can know if it's alive or not. No, it's like an upgrade.
So he can feel if there's a human behind him or a wall. The difference on an object. Yes.
The air quality. This is Alex, a guy from here also, that this is a prototype. They probably go in the hand, and it's to know the air quality of our atmosphere. So he can know if the air is very polluted or not. Also, Kai Landre, he's an artist also from Barcelona. He can perceive the cosmic rays from space into sound.
Yeah, so now here, wherever you are, there's cosmic rays falling from space that we cannot feel, but he has now this system that allows him to feel all the cosmic rays that are touching him. And there's different notes depending on how old the cosmic ray is. So if it's high pitch, I think it's very, very old. And if it's lower pitch, it's a younger cosmic ray.
This is from Pau Prats, and he designed this prototype of perceiving the ultraviolet sense, to feel the ultraviolet rays. And this is an experiment that Neil and I did in Brazil. We were invited to Mesa and Cadeira to an event to create something in 10 days, and we told them that actually I have a tooth missing, and Neil had another tooth missing. So we told them that maybe we could create a tooth that it was implanted once in my mouth and Neil and another one in his mouth. And whenever I did this with my teeth, he would feel a vibration whenever he clicked. I would feel a vibration. And we both know the Morse code. So depending on our rhythm of the teeth, we would be able to communicate to each other. And we did like an experiment there. So we were sitting backwards and very far away, and the audience would write a word in a paper. I would click my teeth and pass it to Neil, and then Neil would write the word. So it was the first experimental of what we call transcendental communication system.
So
and,
it's a communication system that works in space, because you don't need air conduction, or it can work under the water.
Also, it was used with Bluetooth, so it was actually a Bluetooth tooth.
So all these projects need, in some cases, surgery, and what we find ourselves in is that we are not allowed to do all these surgeries. My antenna surgery was done by anonymous doctors, because bioethical committees did not accept the antenna surgery as being ethical, because first of all, it's not a pre-existing body part. They said that if it was a leg or an arm, they would find it ethical, but they said an antenna is not a human body part, so they didn't find it ethical to have it implanted. The second reason is they didn't find ethical to go beyond human perception. Sensing infrared and ultraviolet is not human, so they didn't find it ethical. And the third reason is they were scared about the image the hospital would have if someone came out with an antenna sticking out of the head. So they were worried about the image, the public image of the hospital. But there's a lot of doctors willing to do these surgeries anonymously, and we do them. For example, here we have here, we are now in the CYBORG Foundation lab studio. So here is where we do lots of underground surgeries with nurses and surgeons that are willing to do this type of surgeries. But we are fighting for bioethical committees to start accepting these surgeries as ethical. We think that maybe in the end of the 20s, there will be a country that will start accepting this type of surgeries. And whenever there's a country accepting this type of surgeries, then that's where most people will travel to have this type of trans-species surgeries. It's similar to what happened in the 1930s and 40s and 50s, that people who wanted to change their sex, they had to go to specific places where surgeries could be done. And this might happen as well with trans-species surgeries.
No,
Sorry. So having new senses is not something that changes what you receive from your surroundings. Actually, it can actually also create new abilities. All new senses can create new abilities, and also senses and abilities can create new types of knowledge, because if you think about it, all that we know, all our knowledge comes from our senses. So if we have more senses, we have more options of gaining new types of knowledge that we would never receive through our traditional organic senses. And also it changes your daily life. In my case, hearing color now allows me to dress in a way that it sounds good. I can dress in C major, I can dress in F minor, I can wear a song because I can decide which notes to wear, so I can actually wear songs. I can paint music, so hearing color means that I can also paint music on a canvas. This is Mozart's Queen of the Night. This is Baby Baby by Justin Bieber transposed into color. I can also compose music with food. I can eat songs depending on how I put the food on a plate. So we call it sonochromatic gastronomy. This is a collaboration with a chef in Celia de Can Roca, where we created a system that allowed customers to actually hear the sound of color on a plate, so they could actually literally eat a Lady Gaga dessert if they wanted, so they could choose which songs they wanted to eat.
And actually my way of creating the dance pieces has also changed. In my case now, I'm not the choreographer, Earth is a choreographer. I have this piece that it's called Waiting for Earthquakes, where it's an invitation to the audience just to wait and see how the earth is moving. So it's like a waiting room when the audience and I wait for an earthquake to happen. So it's based on real time. And whenever an earthquake happens, I move according to the intensity of the earthquake. So it's a bit, it's based on real time. It doesn't have beginning or end. And yeah, it's a duet between the earth and myself, where earth dictates when I have to move. Also, I translate this seismic activity through percussion. I create scores based on the seismic activity that happened in specific places. For example, the first one I did was in Mexico, and I researched all the seismic data that happened in Mexico in the last 50 years. and I played it in front of Mexican people so they could hear how their country had been moving seismically. So in this case, Earth is the composer of the piece, and I'm just the interpreter.
So we believe that in the future, when there's more people with new senses, it will change the art, the way we create art. We will have more senses, so there will be types of art that we cannot even think about now. It will change all types on all branches of society, and it will eventually create new types of culture, because the creation of new senses will eventually create new types of culture. And that's what we will probably see during this century. What we are doing is not specifically artificial intelligence. If the antenna was telling me the names of color, if the antenna was saying blue, green, yellow, that would be artificial intelligence. But the antenna is not telling me the names of color, or the Moon's organ is not telling her there's been an earthquake. She feels the earthquake. So what we are doing is not artificial intelligence, but artificial senses. It's a branch of technology that hasn't been explored enough with things, but we think that we will see more projects related to artificial senses during this decade, especially now in the 2020s. Also, the reality that we've created is not augmented. We are not augmenting reality, and we are not creating a virtual reality. We are simply revealing a reality. We are revealing a reality that already exists. Moon is not creating the earthquakes. Moon is simply using technology to reveal the existence of these earthquakes that she cannot feel with her own body. And in my case, the antenna is allowing me to reveal the infrareds and the ultraviolets that are around me. So we call it RR, revealed reality. And it's different also what we do from transhumanism, because our aims are different. Our aim is not to become better humans. This is not our aim. Our aim is to add organs and senses that are not traditionally human, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we want to be better humans.
Just a different experience.
It's just a different experience, and we prefer to use the term trans species because our aim is to add senses and organs that are not traditionally human, or we see ourselves more into the post-humanist movement, because our aim is not centered in human, it's not centered in being human or being better human. We think of evolution as being more horizontal, not vertical, and we think we should embrace and learn from other species. And that's what we are doing. We are learning from other species, and we are trying to add these senses in order to reconnect with them and to reconnect with nature in a deeper level. We strongly believe that if we add senses that other species have, it will be much better for us as a species and for the planet in a whole, and also for other species. As an example, if we all had night vision, for example, it would not only be better for us as a species if we had night vision, it would be much better for the planet, because we wouldn't use artificial light. All cities would be dark at night, so we wouldn't spending so much energy creating artificial light at night. Cities would be dark at night, and we could see at night. So this would be much better for the environment, and it would be better for other species because we wouldn't be annoying them by creating light when there should be no light. Or if we could create an organ to control our own temperature, we wouldn't have to use air conditionings when it's hot, or heaters when we feel cold. Instead of changing the temperature of the planet, we should be able to control our own temperature. So we think that it will be seen as ethical, that the more we design ourselves, the better it will be for us and for the planet in general. This is it.
Thank you.
I think there's a Q&A now.
Yeah, thank you. We have a few questions, but first I would like to tell the public and the audience that Moon is also performing her Waiting for Earthquakes next Tuesday at our festival. One question that we have from Ali is, don't you ever get overwhelmed by colors, Neil?
Yes, at the beginning when I started the project, and Moon as well, she was overwhelmed by earthquakes. When you add a new sense, usually you become overwhelmed because it's new and you're not used to it, but then slowly the brain starts to normalize the new input and it becomes normal like any other sense. up to a point that it becomes completely normal. In my case, I've been hearing colors for 16 years now, so it's so normal that I don't even notice it.
Thank you. Yeah. There's another one coming. What do you think will happen in 10 years from now? Will more people become cyborgs?
Yeah, we hope that it will become more normal. Now I think people accept to unite to technology if it's for medical reasons or for very functional reasons, but it still needs a bit of time just to unite to technology in order to experiment reality in a different way or to create for artistic reasons. But I think now the new generations, I think they find it more normal, and we hope in the future it will be.
I think people are less scared of merging with technology because many people have already grown all their lives with technology. So psychologically, most people are already united to technology. So the next stage, which would be to biologically merge, is not such a big step because most people, like 20-year-olds, have grown up with technology. And people already talk about technology in first person, like mobile phones. People say, I'm running out of battery, instead of saying my mobile phone is running out of battery. So this is already a sign of union, psychological union, when people talk about their mobile phones in first person, as if they were, they needed to be plugged in. So we are already psychologically united to technology, and the next stage is not such a big one.
It's a much more fluid transition, that's what you're telling, yeah. Hannah asks, Barcelona seems to be the center of cyborgs. What are the hotspots, other hotspots in the world?
We know that in Berlin, there's lots of people also interested. I'm not sure if it's so much for artistic reasons, but there's a lot of people.
Or Sweden. Sweden is also a hotspot, but for other reasons, like merging with technology. For practical reasons, I think the hotspot would be Sweden. For artistic reasons, the hotspot is Barcelona. But yeah, in Sweden, there's many people that use implants for accessing the subway, the metro, the train. They have the chip implanted, and then they use it for accessing the train. And they don't seem to be afraid of having this, we're talking about thousands of people with these implants. So,
but in Berlin, there's lots, or America.
There's lots of hotspots of people interested, maybe but doing it. I think Barcelona is definitely the hotspot now.
Another question, Neil. We read that you also are developing a way to change your sense of time. Can you talk a bit about that?
Yes, so it's a point of heat that takes 24 hours to go around the head. It's here somewhere, but the first prototype was already done, but I had a problem with it, I can tell you. It's a point of heat that takes 24 hours to go around the head, so it allows me to feel the rotation of the planet. So if I feel the point of heat here, it's 12 o'clock solar time in London. This is in Iceland, this is United States. So you feel where the sun is shining. If you wear it for several months or years, the brain gets used to it until it becomes subliminal. So you don't feel it anymore, and you feel time with an organ. And then whenever this happens, you can modify your perception of time. So if you want the situation to last longer, you can program the point of heat to go a bit slower or a bit faster, so that you can feel that time is going faster or slower. So it's basically an organ that will allow us to modify our perception of time. The aim is to take into practice Albert Einstein's time relativity theory, but through an organ. In the same way that we can create optical illusions because we have eyes for the sense of sight, if we have an organ for the sense of time, we should be able to create time illusions and then travel in time or make time feel that it's going faster or slower. And that's the aim. But I had a problem with 6 o'clock that it burned too much, so we're having it repaired because 6 o'clock was burning my head.
Oops. Another one. How can cyborgs help us to solve our urgent matters like loss of biodiversity?
Our wish, I think, it's it's creating more empathy, no? As we said, I think it's very different to know that the earth is moving that actually to feel it. It changed my perception of the earth, being more aware that actually it's also a living organism that keeps evolving and changing. And after experiencing earthquakes for so long, I also thought, how is it possible that we build some massive cities at the edge of the tectonic plates that are actually very dangerous places to live? So I think it's we hope that by sending new other senses and feeling more similar to other species and understanding better where we are, we can change the way that we live.
Again, you can connect with other animals in a stronger way if you share senses with them. In my case, sensing infrared, if I see my cat staring at the wall and I sense that there's infrared on that wall, I understand that my cat is not staring at the wall, but staring at the infrared. So it allows me to understand other animals in a greater way. Or if I see bees going to a specific flower and I sense there's a high level of ultraviolet in that flower, I understand them better. So in a way, sharing senses with our animals, it allows us to understand them better and feel closer to them.
Another question. What I found really interesting is that, of course, we are already all are cyborgs because we are so much interacting with the technology world. There's also, do you never sense, for instance, that big tech companies are interfering with you, you know, like with you literally, with your mind even, or censoring you, or other ways in which you kind of, you know, feel more controlled than you would wish?
Well, that's one of the cyborg rights. We should have the right of deciding who enters our bodies. In both cases, we have internet as part of our bodies, so we are vulnerable to being physically hacked, not only by strangers, but also by companies or by anyone. So we don't have rights now that defend this situation. If someone hacks us, there's no rights, or if we were, there's no, for us, it would be physical aggression because it's someone entering our body. It wouldn't be something just technological. There are tech laws and human rights and laws, but there isn't laws concerning people that are in between. And yeah, this is one of the main issues. But there's many. We give many talks, and we talk a lot with governments. They are already talking about this, and it's something that it's not too far away. But there will be laws approved concerning cyborgs and concerning people that are technology, because in our cases we are not using or wearing technology, we are technology, so we need rights, and that's one of the aims of the Cyborg Foundation.
So did you experience it yourself, or really like that's something really invaded in your body?
Well, I was hacked once. Yes, I was.
Yeah, you were. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, I was hacked once, but I actually liked it, so it wasn't. It wasn't such a bad thing. Yeah, cyborgs are vulnerable to also viruses. Yeah. Now there is a coronavirus. It's an organic virus. Cyborgs are vulnerable also to computer viruses. So, and
exactly.
This also happen in the near future. And whenever there's a worldwide virus that is cybernetic, it might have very, very bad consequences. And this is also something that we need to be prepared. And coronavirus can be a warning as well for this situation.
Another question. What would you like to be capable of as a cyborg that you are not yet capable of now?
It's capable of things. Now I'm actually experiencing something. We were doing a very fast talk, and actually I did a very big transition last year that I needed to experience something radical, and the most radical thing I could do was to take out actually the implants. So I had the seismic sense for almost 7 years, but I took the implants out to have experienced something different. And I think I was more scared to take them out than to put them in. But after a while of not experiencing this new sense, now I kind of miss it. And now I want to have a new sense related to the sea. I feel like I've been experiencing the earth a lot, and now Barcelona is very close to the sea, and I actually just took my license to drive boats. So I really want to get to know the ocean. I see the ocean and the space actually very, very similar. It's a massive land that it's also very mysterious. So I'm looking forward to have a new sense that connects me there.
I think for me it would be amazing if we could create an organ for the sense of humor and see if we can actually do this. It would change us completely. I mean, imagine even if you are ill or if you are in a very bad situation, if you had an organ for the sense of humor and you could actually turn it on, you would be able to be happy in any certain situation. Maybe there would be no more wars. There would be it could change us completely if we could find a way of turning on our sense of humor or making things feel.
And in that sense, influencing our microbes, which are really, really important in terms of how we feel. There's one more question. How, Neil, are you able to sleep with the antenna?
I sleep like, how are you able to sleep with arms? I mean, we get used to it. Arms can be more uncomfortable because when you sleep, they are on our way. Whereas the antenna, it's not on my way. I just sleep sideways or like this, and it's just like sleeping with the ears. You get used to it. Also, my friends can send colors at any time of the day or night because they have connection to my antenna. Sometimes if they send colors to my head when I'm sleeping, they can wake me up or they can color my dreams, which is something that at the beginning for me was very magical. If someone starts sending colors to my head when I'm sleeping, if they send yellow, maybe a lemon appears in my dream, and that appears in my dream because of my friends. So coloring my dreams or altering my dreams by sending colors to my head while I'm sleeping is something that I enjoy.
Nice. The last question that we have from you is from Billy. And he asked, what does it really mean for you to identify yourself as cyborg?
Well, we both think that cyborg is a sense of identity. It has nothing to do really with the body. You might have many implants, but you might not identify as a cyborg. And it's the case of many people that have implants for medical reasons, but they don't identify as cyborgs. And then there's many people that come here, the Cyborg Foundation, that identify as cyborgs. And that's why they want to have surgery. And that's why they want the implants. So we believe that cyborg is now an identity where you simply include technology as part of your identity, or you include a sense that you don't have as part of your identity. In most cases, it's whenever you include technology as part of your identity, you are probably a cyborg.
Very nice. Well, thank you so much, Neil and Moon. It was a wonderful explanation of your whole journey to becoming technology. Thank you so much. I would like to also, of course, invite you later on, because we go, of course, we are all becoming cyborgs, and in our Second Life cantina, we will have a celebration with everybody together. So I really hope that you will be coming there as well. I wanted to, of course, invite everybody, the whole audience, to enjoy the rest of this festive opening in our virtual Second Life cantina. It's a space, it's accessible 24/7, and we have been testing this wonderful environment yesterday. It was designed by designer Lisa Predichenko, and yesterday we had a meet and greet with several artists, and it's just an awesome environment. It's kind of it's a new place to be. It's the way to digitally socialize, to network, and to have fun in a way that comes most close to how people without corona physically would interact. So we're really very happy with this and invite you and the whole audience and public to welcome and to see us and greet us there in a fun way, really. Oh yes, oh yeah, and one more thing, very important. We close this one with Reeps100. It's he is a beatboxer, wonderful sound, and he talks with an artificial intelligence. It's like a mirror. We will hear Reeps100.
One, two, three, four, five. One, two, three, four, five.
En dan voor Pizza Brosum. Dat is het. En voor VDM. And this exploration just.